You either be your brother's groomsman or I'll destroy your scholarship, my dad threatened. After my brother married my GF, so I stood up during the vows and read the messages that destroyed their act and ended their empire. Hey Reddit, not really sure how to start this, but let's just say my family had a golden boy, and it wasn't me. I used to think keeping my head down was the smart move, until I found out how deep the lies went. What started as a cheating scandal turned into something way bigger, and I ended up doing what none of them ever thought I could, fighting back quietly. If you asked my dad to describe our family, he'd call us a picture of success. If you asked anyone who actually knew us, they'd probably say we looked like a walking PR stunt. Dad's a lawyer who treats his last name like a brand. Everything he does, his firm, his house, his sons, is about image. He's the kind of guy who straightens the silverware before guests arrive and corrects your grammar mid-sentence. Control is his love language. Mom? She's polite, soft-spoken, the perfect politician's wife without the politician. She acts like she balances him out, but really, she just backs him up. Her favorite phrase is, "Your father just wants what's best for you," right before agreeing with whatever he says. Then there's Sam, my older brother, the golden one, the future of the Hale legacy. If Sam breathes, Dad applauds it. If Sam screws up, it's a learning opportunity. When I get something right, it's finally. Sam's the type who could sell rain to a storm cloud. Charming, confident, a natural liar. He's always had that salesman grin and a tone that made people trust him, even when they shouldn't. Dad used to say, Sam's leadership skills will take him far. Ryan just needs direction. Translation: Sam shines, Ryan follows. Me? I was the quiet one. I worked part-time at a tech shop, studied late, didn't drink, didn't party, didn't play the fake networking game. I preferred results over noise. To my family, that made me boring. To me, that made me free. Then came Jade. We met in law school, same business law class, same sarcasm about professors who thought PowerPoint slides were personality. By then, I was a second year, 2L, on a firm-funded scholarship. One dad's connections technically controlled, even though I'd earned it myself. Jade was ambitious, sharp, and confident without being fake. 3 years together, and she was the first person who made me feel like I wasn't the backup Hale. She'd say things like, "You don't need to be loud to be seen, Ryan." And I believed her. For a while, she actually fit into my life. She even met my family. That's when things started changing. Sam took one look at her and turned into Mr. Charming. At first, it was small stuff, helping her carry plates at dinner, complimenting her hair, jokingly, calling her the smarter Hale girlfriend. I brushed it off. Sam flirts with everyone. That's his thing. But then Jade started dressing up every time we went to family events. Not casual dresses, full effort. Hair, makeup, perfume. And she laughed at everything Sam said. Every single thing. One night, at a dinner my dad hosted for some firm clients, I caught Sam whispering something to her. She giggled and covered her mouth like a teenager. I told myself I was overthinking. I had to be. Because the alternative meant my brother was crossing a line even he wouldn't touch. Over the next few weeks, she started helping him with firm projects. Apparently, Sam was mentoring her because she was interested in corporate law. Yeah, sure. Then came the night I stopped pretending everything was fine. It was a Thursday. Jade said she was staying in to finish a report. I swung by her place after work with her favorite takeout, because I'm the kind of idiot who still tries even when something feels off. The lights were low, laptop open on the coffee table. No sign of her. I set down the food and noticed the screen still glowing. One message notification. It was from Sam. Still thinking about last night? That dress was dangerous. I stared at it, frozen. My stomach didn't drop. My brain didn't explode. I just went quiet. Completely quiet. Then another message popped up. Can't wait to see you again. Don't let Ryan get suspicious. That was it. No excuses left. No more, maybe I'm overreacting. I scrolled up and it got worse. Messages from weeks, maybe months. Flirting, innuendos, hotel names, photos, explicit ones. I shut the laptop before my body did something stupid, like throw it through a wall. I sat on her couch staring at the blank screen, realizing this wasn't just betrayal, it was hierarchy. Dad raised us to believe Sam could take whatever he wanted, and I should be grateful for leftovers. Now he'd taken the one person who actually saw me, and everyone around him, Mom, Dad, maybe even Jade, would call it a misunderstanding. On the drive home, I didn't feel angry. I felt focused. Like someone had just handed me a blueprint of how this family really worked. Dad controlled, Mom excused, Sam took, and I was supposed to stay quiet. They'd built this system for years. They just forgot I was paying attention. The next morning, I decided I was done pretending. I drove straight to Jade's apartment. She opened the door looking half guilty, half annoyed, like I was the one ruining her morning. Ryan, can we not do this right now? She said, pulling her robe tighter. I didn't answer. I walked in, opened her laptop, and turned the screen toward her. The last message from Sam was still there. Don't let Ryan get suspicious. Her face went pale. Then she did what cheaters always do. She played the victim. I didn't mean for this to happen, she said, voice cracking on cue. You're too quiet and boring sometimes. Sam's confident, and I got caught up in it. I almost laughed. Too quiet. That's what they always said about me. Right, I said. You accidentally texted him hotel names for 6 months. Happens to everyone. She tried to grab the laptop, but I pulled it away. Relax. I already backed everything up. Her jaw dropped. You what? Don't worry, I said. I'm not posting anything. Yet. She looked angry now. More embarrassed than sorry. You can't hold this over me, Ryan. Hold it over you, I said. No, Jade. I'm just collecting data. I left before she could respond. By the time I got home, Dad was waiting in his office, sitting behind his desk like a judge. Mom stood off to the side, pretending to tidy papers she'd already stacked 3 times. Sam was leaning against the wall, smug as always. Jade called me, Dad started. She's upset. I'll bet she is, I said, crossing my arms. He gave me that disappointed look he reserved for when I didn't play his game. Ryan, I don't know what you think you saw, but your brother assures me there's been a misunderstanding. Yeah, Sam added, smirking. She came on to me, man. I told her to back off. I stared at him, amazed he could lie that easily. You told her to back off? Before or after the hotel photos? Mom gasped. Dad slammed his hand on the desk. Enough. You will not embarrass this family with wild accusations. Do you understand me? Embarrass the family? I said. You mean tell the truth? He stood up, towering over me like that still worked. You're not ruining your brother's happiness over a girl. Whatever happened, it's in the past. Past? I repeated. It's still happening. Sam smirked again. Not anymore. We're engaged. The room went quiet. My ears rang. Engaged? I said slowly. You mean to the girl you were sneaking around behind my back? Dad stepped in. Ryan, you'll congratulate your brother like a man and be his groomsman, or you'll find out how quickly I can cancel your scholarship. My law scholarship. The one thing I'd earned on my own, except it was funded through our family foundation, which meant he still controlled it. Let me get this straight, I said. You want me to stand at their wedding like a prop? You'll be a groomsman, he said, pointing a finger at me. You'll smile, you'll show respect, and you'll stop this nonsense. I've worked too hard to have you destroy what this family stands for. I nodded slowly. Yeah, Dad. Wouldn't want to ruin the family image. He relaxed, thinking I'd given in. Sam grinned, Mom sighed with relief, and for a split second, they thought I was back under control. But I wasn't. That night, I opened my laptop and got to work. I already had copies of the texts between Sam and Jade, but I needed more. I started digging. A few days later, I stopped by the firm to drop off some papers Dad wanted reviewed. Sam was out meeting a client, which usually meant flirting or bragging somewhere. His office door was open, laptop still on. I shouldn't have looked, except of course I did. On his desktop was a folder labeled Mentorship Notes, probably stuff for his internship portfolio. He'd gotten into the habit of recording mock pitches and client briefings to practice presentation tone, as he liked to brag. Most clips were harmless rehearsals, but one caught my attention right away. Sam's voice. Dean Mitchell loves me, man. I can use Jade to impress him. Show him I can handle corporate strategy. Mitchell practically eats that up. He worships the ground I walk on, Dean Mitchell. The name hit me fast. He was a big deal in law. Respected. Connected to my dad's firm. Sam had interned under him last summer. Apparently, he'd also been using Jade to look impressive in front of the guy. Another clip had him laughing to someone else. I'm learning to manipulate people like Dad does. It's all about control. Keep them grateful. Keep them quiet. And I plugged in my USB drive and copied everything before locking his laptop again. By the time I got home, I had proof that Sam wasn't just a cheater. He was building his entire career on manipulation. Using Jade, using Dad's firm, even using Mitchell's trust. I organized everything. Dates, messages, even timestamps. I saved it to a folder named Insurance. Then I made 3 encrypted backups. One on a USB, one in the cloud, and one hidden in plain sight in my email drafts. If I was going to take them down, I'd do it cleanly. No screaming, no public fights, just facts. A week later, Dad called a family dinner. Jade was there, wearing a ring like she hadn't just detonated my life. She tried smiling at me. I ignored her. Dad announced the engagement like it was a business merger. We're proud of Sam and Jade. This union represents strength, partnership, and the continuation of what we've built. What they'd built: lies, manipulation, control. Sam looked at me across the table and said, "I hope you'll be there for me, little brother." I smiled back. "Oh, I'll be there." Everyone relaxed again. They thought the storm had passed, but I wasn't planning to ruin their wedding with drama. I was planning to end the whole system. The perfect image, the fake morals, the lies about family first. I wasn't just going to expose a cheater. I was going to dismantle the entire narrative my dad had spent 20 years selling. I didn't need revenge right then. I needed precision. They wanted a perfect wedding. Fine. But they'd get one they'd never forget. The ceremony was held at this massive countryside venue that looked like a castle pretending to be humble. 300 guests, all smiling like their invitations doubled as tax deductions. It was exactly the kind of show Dad lived for. He'd been bragging about it for weeks. "My son's wedding will be the event of the season," he said, which really meant, "Look at how powerful I am." When I arrived, the staff handed out champagne, and people whispered compliments about Sam and Jade being the perfect couple. I didn't even bother correcting them. The truth was coming anyway. Dean Mitchell was there too, Sam's mentor and the head of his law program. He sat front row, chatting with my dad like they were old friends. I'd only met him twice, but he'd always treated me respectfully, unlike my father's usual colleagues, who looked at me like the backup plan. Sam saw me across the room and grinned like a guy who just won a game he'd rigged himself. "Glad you made it, bro," he said, clapping my shoulder. "You're not still mad, right?" "Mad?" I said. "Nah, wouldn't miss your big day." He didn't notice the USB in my pocket, or the folder on my phone labeled insurance. A few minutes before the ceremony, Dad cornered me near the hallway that led to the bridal suite. He was holding a printed version of my scholarship contract like it was a weapon. "You will smile," he said, face inches from mine. "You will be a groomsman, and you will give the toast I approved. You pull anything today, and that scholarship is gone tomorrow. Do you understand me?" I looked at him and smiled. "Crystal clear!" He glared at me, trying to figure out if I meant it. Then he turned away, straightening his tie. I could see Jade through the half-open door, laughing with her bridesmaids like this was the happiest day of her life. I walked to my spot at the altar, wearing a pale gray suit that Jade had picked out months ago, back when she still pretended to be my girlfriend. She said the color brought out my eyes. Now it just brought out the irony. The guests filled the seats, the music started, and Jade walked down the aisle on her father's arm, glowing like she hadn't burned everything around her to get here. Sam looked at her the way people look at trophies. When the priest started talking about love, loyalty, and commitment, I actually had to stop myself from laughing. I felt Dad's eyes on me, a silent warning from the front row. Mom sat beside him, hands folded tight, pretending this was normal. Then came the line. "If anyone here has any reason why these two should not be joined in holy matrimony, speak now or forever. Hold your peace." The room went quiet, and I took a step forward. "I do," I said clearly. Every head turned. The sound of chairs shifting echoed through the hall. Jade froze, halfway through a nervous smile. I pulled out my phone. "Before you say I do, Jade, I think we should let everyone know what kind of couple we're celebrating today." Dad's face went red instantly. "Ryan, sit down." But I wasn't listening. I opened the messages, the ones I'd backed up months ago, and read aloud. "Can't believe Ryan actually thinks I care about her," Sam wrote. "I'm just using her to impress Dean Mitchell. The guy practically worships me. Once I'm in his pocket, I can get anything through him." Gasps spread through the room like a wave. Mitchell's head snapped up. I could see the confusion hit his face as I scrolled further. "Jade's perfect for PR," Sam had texted. "Mitchell loves seeing me with a smart woman. Makes me look stable." I heard a few people whispering. Someone near the back started recording on their phone. Dad stood up. "That's enough." I ignored him and kept going. "I told Jade we'd be the power couple everyone envies. Mitchell will probably fast-track me to a partnership after this." Jade took a step forward. "Those are fake," she said loudly, her voice cracking. "He's just jealous." But Dean Mitchell was already standing. "Let me see that," he said. His voice was calm, but the room went dead silent. I walked down the aisle and handed him my phone, along with the USB I'd brought, packed with messages, recordings, and the falsified internship files I'd found on Sam's computer. Mitchell scrolled through the folder for a solid minute, his expression shifting from confusion to disgust. Then he looked at my dad. "Did you know about this?" Dad didn't answer. Mitchell turned to the crowd. These messages reference academic misconduct, falsified internship reports, name-dropping my mentorship for personal gain, and bragging about unethical use of firm resources. He looked directly at Sam. You're done. Pending formal review, effective immediately, your placement and recommendation are suspended. There will be a full investigation of your academic record. The entire room erupted. Guests whispered. Phones went up. Someone gasped loud enough to echo. Jade stumbled backward, makeup streaking down her face. Sam shouted something about lies and manipulation, but nobody was listening. Dean Mitchell handed the phone back to me. You handled this the right way, he said quietly. I'll be in touch. Security showed up a few minutes later to escort Sam out after he had an angry meltdown. He started throwing and breaking everything in his path. Jade collapsed onto a chair, sobbing. My mother just sat there, frozen, mascara running. My dad looked like a man watching his entire reputation slide off a cliff. I didn't stick around for the cleanup. I walked straight out the main doors while everyone else tried to process what just happened. Behind me, people were recording, whispering. Outside, the air was cool. The parking lot was full of expensive cars that suddenly felt pointless. I looked back once through the glass doors. The perfect family, falling apart in front of 300 witnesses. They wanted a perfect wedding. They got a public execution instead. By the next morning, the video was everywhere. Someone had filmed the whole thing. My I object moment, the text readings, Dean Mitchell's public takedown of Sam, all of it. TikTok, Twitter, you name it. The caption under one post read, Guy exposes his cheating brother and destroys a law career during the vows. The clip had over 500,000 views before breakfast. While I was sipping coffee in my apartment, my phone buzzed nonstop. Old classmates, co-workers, even random strangers sent messages like, You're a legend, or Bro, that speech deserves an award. My dad didn't think it was funny. By noon, the firm's social media pages were flooded with comments. People were tagging legal associations, asking why Hale and Partners was employing frauds. Jade's family, old money, the kind who only cared about image, quietly pulled their investment from Dad's firm. And Dean Mitchell? He moved fast. By the end of that same day, he announced an official internal investigation into Sam and forwarded evidence about my father to the State Bar's disciplinary board. Academic misconduct and professional misrepresentation, the email said. It didn't even take 24 hours for things to start unraveling. Dad called me at 10 p.m. I let it ring twice before answering. Do you have any idea what you've done? He said. His voice was half rage, half panic. Yeah, I said. I told the truth. He exhaled hard. You humiliated your family in front of hundreds of people? The firm is losing clients. Jade's family pulled their funding? That's funny, I cut in. You mean the same family that helped your golden boy cheat his way into law school? He went quiet for a second. Then, this isn't the time for pride, Ryan. Fix this. Call Dean Mitchell. Tell him it was all exaggerated. Why would I do that? Because your brother's career is over, he snapped. Because your mother can't show her face at the country club. Because I've spent 25 years building a firm that you just destroyed. I leaned back in my chair. Then maybe you should have spent some of those years raising decent people. He hung up. The next day, the firm's name was plastered all over the news. Law student exposed for academic fraud, linked to father's firm. Reporters camped outside the building, clients canceled contracts, and Sam was suspended from his law program pending investigation. I heard Jade lost her job offer too. Apparently, no company wanted to deal with the PR mess that came with being the wedding girl. The whole family went dark online. Mom deleted her Facebook. Sam turned his Instagram private. Dad shut off comments on the firm's website. But the internet doesn't forget. Every few hours, new videos popped up. Memes, edits, even dramatic reenactments of the wedding scene. My personal favorite was one labeled, How to Nuke Your Brother's Future in Under 3 Minutes. 2 days later, Mom showed up at my apartment. I almost didn't answer the door, but the knocking wouldn't stop. When I opened it, she looked wrecked, Ryan, she said, voice trembling. We need to talk. About what? The public execution or the family cover-up? She winced. You don't have to be cruel. I learned from the best, I said. She stepped inside without asking. Your father is devastated. Sam? He's not eating, not sleeping. Jade's gone. Everything is falling apart. Good, I said flatly. Her eyes went wide. Good? How can you say that? You're destroying your own family. I laughed once. No, Mom. They destroyed it years ago. I just stopped pretending everything was fine. She clasped her hands like she was praying. Please, Ryan. Dean Mitchell respects you. If you tell him it was a misunderstanding, I cut her off. You mean lie for Sam? Again? Tears welled up in her eyes. Do you want your father to lose everything? Maybe he shouldn't have built everything on fraud. She looked at me like she didn't recognize me anymore, which was ironic, because this was the first time I'd ever actually been myself. When she realized I wasn't giving in, she left quietly, muttering something about shame and forgiveness. That night, my phone buzzed again, this time with an unknown number. I almost ignored it until I saw the message. Ryan, this is Dean Mitchell. I'd like to speak with you when you have a moment. I called him back immediately. Mr. Hale, he said in his usual calm tone. I'll be direct. I owe you an apology. Apology? I said, surprised. Yes. I believed the wrong person. Your father and brother presented a very different image to the academic community. You exposed what many of us should have seen sooner. He paused, then continued. I'd like to offer you a full scholarship to our law program. You'll also receive a research position under my mentorship. No strings attached. For a second, I didn't say anything. I just sat there, staring at the wall, realizing I'd just been handed everything they took from me. When we hung up, I sat there for a long time. The irony wasn't lost on me. The same man my dad used to name drop in every conversation was now the one giving me the opportunity he'd stolen. By the weekend, the firm had officially lost 3 major clients. Dad's partners were quietly withdrawing. Sam was suspended indefinitely from his program. Jade had vanished completely. No posts, no updates, nothing. I packed a small suitcase that Sunday. Just essentials, laptop, clothes, USB drives, everything that mattered. As I zipped it shut, I thought about the years I'd spent being told I was a disappointment. For the first time, that label didn't sting. Because now, I wasn't the disappointment. I was the reminder of what they created. Months passed. Long enough for the headlines to fade, but not long enough for anyone to forget. Dad's firm was bleeding money. Lawsuits started rolling in from ex-clients who claimed they'd been misled about credentials and partnerships. The once golden Hale and Partners logo came down from the building one afternoon, replaced by an ugly for lease banner. I saw it on my way to class and had to laugh. Mom's social circle fell apart next. The same people who used to fawn over her at charity events stopped returning calls. Apparently, being married to the fraudulent lawyer wasn't good for image. And Sam, he became an online meme. Someone made a compilation video of his wedding meltdown, him yelling, Jade crying, Mitchell announcing the investigation. It was everywhere. People started calling him the fraudulent groom. There were even t-shirts. His life went down faster than his reputation. He tried to get hired at smaller firms, but everyone knew his name for the wrong reason. Even Jade dumped him eventually. Or maybe he dumped her. Either way, they both lost. She tried reaching out to me first. It started with an email. Ryan, I've made so many mistakes. Sam isn't who I thought he was. I miss the way things used to be. Can we talk? I didn't respond. Then a few texts followed. I'm sorry. I just want to explain. Can we please meet? I blocked her number. I wasn't interested in recycled apologies from people who only realized their mistakes after the lights went off. Around that time, I got a message from Nathan, a family friend who used to work at the firm as a junior partner. We weren't close, but he'd always treated me decently. He asked to meet for coffee, said he had something important. When I showed up, he looked nervous, eyes darting around the cafe like we were in a spy movie. He slid a small flash drive across the table. You didn't get this from me, he said quietly. What is it? Proof, he said. Your dad lied to Dean Mitchell years ago. About you. I frowned. What do you mean, about me? Back when you were applying for internships, Dean Mitchell's firm considered taking you on. Your dad sent them a letter claiming you had mental health issues and weren't reliable under pressure. Said it was best they focus on Sam instead. I sat there, staring at the flash drive. He kept talking. Mitchell never knew you applied again later. Your dad buried every recommendation that didn't favor Sam. He made sure all the attention stayed on your brother. I shouldn't even have this, but I thought you deserved to know. I didn't say anything. I just nodded and left. Back home, I plugged in the drive. There it was, a PDF of a letter on firm letterhead, signed by my father. Ryan Hale struggles with emotional regulation and has demonstrated instability in professional settings. I recommend focusing mentorship resources on his brother, Samuel Hale, whose leadership qualities reflect our firm's standards. I scrolled further. Email threads, meeting notes, memos, all confirming it. He'd been sabotaging me for years. It wasn't about me being too quiet. It was about control. He didn't want 2 sons succeeding. He wanted 1 golden child and 1 scapegoat. Then I opened a new email window, attached the files, and sent them anonymously to the State Bar's Office of Disciplinary Counsel, CCing the Attorney General's Consumer Protection Unit for good measure. No message, no threats, just the truth. A few weeks later, the hammer finally dropped. The board opened a full review of Hale and Partners. They discovered multiple forged recommendations, falsified partnership records, and misuse of client trust funds. Basically, the whole firm was built like a house of cards. When the media broke the story, the headline read, "Law firm under investigation after whistleblower evidence surfaces." They didn't name me, but Dad knew. He called once more. I didn't answer. The voicemail was exactly what I expected. No apology, just panic. "Ryan, I know it was you. Whatever you think you're doing, you're making a mistake. You're destroying everything this family built." He paused before hanging up. "You'll regret this." But I didn't. Because for the first time, the balance was real. Every lie, every cover-up, every time he made me feel small, it all caught up with him. The firm officially shut down 2 months later. A court froze the trust accounts. Several partners were suspended by the bar, and the firm's reputation was in ashes. Mom moved in with her sister out of embarrassment. Sam tried launching some consulting startup that went nowhere. The name Hale used to open doors. Now it got them closed faster. Meanwhile, I was finishing law school under Dean Mitchell's mentorship. Top of my class, full scholarship, new apartment, new life. Every day felt like quiet payback. One afternoon, I walked past the old firm building again. The windows were covered. I stood there for a second, remembering the times I used to walk through those same doors, hoping for approval that never came. Then I turned around and left without looking back. He spent his life building a name. I destroyed it with the truth. 3 years later, that truth had turned into peace. I was living in a quiet apartment overlooking the city, the kind of place that felt like mine for once. No family name on the lease, no expectations hanging over me. I'd built a solid career under Dean Mitchell's mentorship, working at a firm that actually valued honesty over fake handshakes. No drama, no noise, just work, gym, sleep, repeat. Exactly how I liked it. Sam, on the other hand, had become a walking cautionary tale. People still called him the fraudulent groom in the comments. His social media was dead except for one sad photo of a motivational quote from 2 years ago. I didn't hate him. I just stopped caring. Until one Monday morning, when I opened my email and saw the subject line, "Whistleblower Report. Ryan Hale involved in file theft and professional sabotage." The email had fake screenshots showing me stealing internal firm data and messages claiming I'd ruined my brother's career out of jealousy. The attachments looked sloppy, but believable enough to cause damage. Within hours, people in the local law community were whispering. Some smaller pages even reposted it with headlines like, "Exposed, rising lawyer accused of corporate espionage." Dean Mitchell called me into his office that afternoon. He looked calm but serious. "I know you didn't do this, Ryan. But even false claims spread fast. We'll get ahead of it." "I already know who did it," I said. He raised an eyebrow. "You do?" "Yeah," I said. "There's only one person desperate enough to dig this low." That night, I started digging. The fake screenshots were decent but not perfect. Whoever made them reused some of my old email headers, ones I recognized from years ago. That told me the person had access to my old correspondence, which narrowed the list down to one person who used to live in the same house as me, Sam. But I wasn't guessing. I wanted proof. I ran the attachments through a check and found fingerprints you can't fake. The file's properties showed Sam's name, and the firm's mail logs pointed to the IP assigned to his apartment. In other words, the fake came straight from him. Of course it did. He hadn't even bothered to hide it properly. I smiled to myself, not out of joy, just out of disbelief. After everything, he was still trying to win a game I'd already left. The next morning, I printed the reports and brought them straight to the firm's legal team. "This came from my brother's device," I said, sliding the documents across the table. "I'm guessing this counts as defamation." They skimmed through the data. The lead counsel nodded. "It does, and it's airtight." Within 2 days, the firm issued an official statement clearing my name. It included digital evidence showing the forgery's source and a short line that said, "The firm stands fully behind Ryan Hale." The online rumor vanished overnight, replaced by a new headline, "Disgraced ex-law student exposed for faking allegations against brother." Sam went silent again. Then, a week later, his lawyer sent a half-hearted email offering mutual confidentiality. Translation: he was scared. The firm declined. They filed for defamation and malicious interference instead. A month later, Sam's lawyer negotiated a settlement. Sam issued a public apology that read like it had been written with a gun to his head. I take full responsibility for circulating false information about my brother. I acted out of anger and regret, and I deeply apologize to Ryan Hale and his firm. It barely made a ripple online, but those who remembered the wedding recognized the name. The comments section lit up with people saying, "Of course it was him," and dude never learns. Dean Mitchell called me into his office again a few days later. He had that small smile he gets when he's proud, but doesn't want to admit it. "You handled this better than most seasoned attorneys," he said. "Calm, precise, no drama." "Guess I learned from experience," I said. He nodded. "That's the thing, Ryan. You've become what your father pretended to be. Composed under pressure, guided by truth. You handled this like a professional, not a victim." I just smiled. "Thanks. I don't do victims." Later that night, I sat in my apartment, lights low, laptop open to the final legal notice confirming the case's closure. Sam owed damages and public apology fees. Small price for the lies he tried to spread. I didn't feel triumphant. I just felt done. I leaned back in my chair, looked out at the skyline, and realized something. All those years, they said I was too quiet, too reserved, too soft-spoken to make an impact. Turns out, calm doesn't mean weak. It means patient, strategic, dangerous in silence. They said I was too quiet. Turns out, calm is what buried them. 8 years passed after that whole mess. Long enough for my name to stand on its own, separate from theirs. I'd built a clean record, solid clients, a good life. My apartment was quiet, my mornings predictable. No drama, no phone calls, no Hale family updates. Then one Tuesday morning, an email from an unfamiliar address hit my inbox. Subject line, urgent, regarding Samuel Hale. For a second, I almost deleted it. Curiosity got the better of me, and I clicked. It was from a hospital in Florida. "Mr. Hale, your brother Samuel has been admitted for advanced kidney failure. He listed you as next of kin. He is uninsured and in critical condition." Attached was a scanned document, his admission form, his handwriting messy as ever. I stared at it for a while, unsure whether to laugh or sigh. 8 years of silence, and the next time his name showed up, it was next to the word failure. Still, something in me wanted to confirm it wasn't some elaborate scam. So I called the hospital. The nurse who answered confirmed everything. He'd been living in Central Florida with our grandmother, barely scraping by. His wife had left, and he had a 6-year-old son. "His condition is severe," she said. "Without treatment, he might not make it another month." I thanked her, hung up, and sat there for a minute. I wasn't angry, just tired. A few days later, I got another email. This one wasn't from the hospital. It was from Sam's address. The subject line, "I don't deserve your help, but I'm asking anyway. Ryan, I know I don't have the right to ask for anything. I messed up every part of my life. But my son Evan doesn't deserve to grow up without a father. If you can help, please." I reread it twice. The words sounded like him. Not the arrogant Sam I knew, but the version that finally realized nobody was clapping anymore. I verified through a contact down in Florida that it was real. The kid existed. The diagnosis checked out. And Sam was broke. No insurance, no job, barely holding on. So I wrote him back. "I'll pay for the treatment under one condition. You sign a confession admitting everything. The fake reports, the harassment, the smear campaign, everything. And you agree to no further contact afterward." He didn't reply right away. It took him 3 days. Then another email arrived, short and straight. "I'll sign anything. Just help my son." Attached was the confession. Typed, signed, time-stamped. He didn't try to twist words or make excuses. He admitted to the fraud, the lies, even the defamation. I sent it straight to my lawyer and had a trust created under Evan's name to cover the hospital bills and future care. The money went directly to the facility, not through him. I wasn't about to let him mess up even that. A few weeks later, the hospital confirmed the treatment started. Sam didn't try to reach out again. Not a thank you, not a follow-up. Just silence. Maybe he knew he'd said enough for one lifetime. Months passed. One night, while checking emails before bed, I saw a new message from an address I didn't recognize. Evan.Hale06 at. It said, "Hi, Mr. Hale. I'm Evan. Dad told me what you did for us. He's getting better. I don't know why you helped when you didn't have to, but I wanted to say thank you. He said you're the smartest person he's ever known." I sat there for a long time, just staring at it. The words were simple, but they hit harder than I expected. I didn't reply right away. I just closed my laptop and leaned back, letting the quiet fill the room again. People had called me heartless over the years. Cold, detached, too calm. Maybe they were right, but in the end, I was the only one who fixed anything. They called me heartless for walking away, Funny how the one they broke was the only one who fixed anything. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.